What's up again guys, yeah it's me, Dovahkiin, and welcome back to my Elden Ring series. And before we begin, be sure to hit on the subscribe button for more great videos. Alright, we finally reached 100 episodes, and I want to thank you guys for your support. And this vid will just be an update on my progress and a showcase of my build. Anyway, my last update was back in episode 88 when I defeated the Godskin Noble in the Volcano Manor to get a Somber Smithing Stone 7 to upgrade my Lusat's Glintstone Staff to the maximum of +10. After that, I've decimated the third main boss, Star Scourge Radahn. Then I cleaned up the rest of Southern Caelid. Then I went to and cleared the Nokron Eternal City and destroyed the fourth main boss, the Regal Ancestor Spirit. Next, I cleared the Shifra Aqueduct, but before venturing into the next underground region, I made significant progress on Witch Ranni's questline to acquire a few notable armor sets and sorceries. Then I finally went to the Deeproot Depths to progress Deathbed Companion Fia's questline and decimated the fifth main boss in 5 fucking seconds, Lich Dragon Fortisax. So my current boss body count is 85 out of 165. As per main bosses, as I've mentioned, I'm at 5 out of 16. Well, technically, there are just 15, cause the final boss, the Elden Beast, follows immediately after beating Radagon of the Golden Order. By the way, a main boss is defined by whether or not it drops a remembrance, or they are either gods, demigods, or legends, but nothing lesser. Anyway, considering my main boss progression, I've already completed 1/3 of the game. Therefore, I am now in mid-game territory. So let me discuss my build by first showcasing my gear. Still using Roger's Rapier with Hoarfrost Stomp on Magic Affinity, but now it's +20. And yes, I'm already level 206, but more on that later. As per my utility seal to specifically cast Flame Cleanse Me, the only incantation you'll need if you're neither Faith nor an Arc build, I've switched the Clawmark seal for the Dragon Communion seal because it's weightless. And later on, we're gonna touch on Equip Load. Now, this is Lusat's staff at 90 int, and as I've said before, the int hard cap is 80. So from 413 sorcery scaling back at 80, it only went up 9 points after 10 more levels, now at 422. But tell me, where else would I put those extra attributes when I'm purely an int build? By the way, I still have the Full Moon Crossbow as my utility bow, but it's not equipped to save on weight. Now, here's another utility that you should have in your bag as well, the Winged Scythe. Its skill, Angel Wings, basically makes it a jumping tool that allows you to leap great distances which seem impossible otherwise. Let's see it in action. Okay, let's move on to armor. For the entirety of early game, though there were some helm variations, I generally wore the Fire Monk set, and technically, its equip load is on the heavy side. But I actually started playing this game at level 60, questing, dungeon crawling, boss hunting, and all that. So what was I doing till that level? I was just farming my ass off. By the time I went out to actually play the game, the Fire Monk set had become medium load, cause I slightly increased my endurance. And back in episode 35, I even compared it to the Carian Knight set, and it came out on top. But there's a saying in this game: once you go light, you never go back. Dodge rolls in light load has the same number of invincibility frames, or simply iframes, and recovery frames with medium load, but the roll distance of light load is the farthest. By the way, although heavy load sets provide the best protection and poise, I'm not gonna include it in this conversation, because its recovery in iframes is inferior to the other two. On a side note, on recovery frames, lower is better. Now let me show you the difference between light and medium loads. And take note, rolls always cost 12 stamina regardless of equip load. On the left, we have Roger's Drip, the Spellblade set, one of the best light load sets in the game. On the right, we have Invader Ensha's Drip, the Royal Remains, a very notable medium set. Now, starting from this curve, I'm gonna make exactly 4 rolls to find out how much ground they can actually cover. Let's start with medium load. Medium load will take 5 rolls to cover the distance that light made in just 4. This also translates to lesser stamina consumption because you'll be out of harm's way with lesser rolls. But again, the key factor here is distance. For a ranged character like mine, maintaining a safe distance is invaluable. Thus, once I got a taste of light load rolling, I knew that light sets are gonna be my drip from there on out. So I tried out a couple of light load variations. Anyway, just a rule of thumb, the heavier the armor piece, the better the stats. Thus, if you want to equip a heavier chest armor for better poise, you should pick lighter pieces to complete your drip, or vice versa, as long as you stay within the light load threshold. On the left was my initiation to light load, a combination of the Sage and Queen of the Full Moon sets, which I used after defeating Radahn up until the Shifra Aqueduct. Then I tried out the Preceptor's long gown, but it was a heavy piece, so I had to combine it with others from different sets. One of them was the Crimson Hood. By the way, this drip only appeared once in my series, when I was tackling the Carian Study Hall back in episode 96. Then we arrive at my final mid-game look, my Witch Apostle drip. Equipping the hat is indispensable, because it's the only piece of the Snow Witch set that provides a bonus damage of 10% to cold sorceries. Then the robe to complete the overall theme. And 2 pieces from the Godskin Apostle set, the bracelets and the trousers. The summed weight of this drip is only 11.9. But why is my total equip load at 22? Besides your armor, your weapons and talismans have weights as well. That's why my utility bow, the Full Moon crossbow, and my jumping tool, the Winged Scythe, are just in my bag and not equipped. Anyway, on the other hand, ammunitions and pots don't contribute to your E-load. Since we have iframes, might as well just call it E-load, right? Now these are the thresholds of E-load. To maintain a light load, your current total weight must be under or exactly 29.9% of your max E-load. So for my 84.1 E-load, my threshold is at 25.1. Thus, I still have 3 points before I reach my light load threshold. But I'm already okay with this setup, and will stick with it for the rest of mid-game. And going back to my loadout, this is my newest talisman, as I've already featured the others in previous vids. The Magic Scorpion Charm, which boosts magic damage by 12%, 8% in PvP, but increases physical damage taken by 10%, 15% in PvP. I got it for progressing Preceptor Celovis's treacherous questline. Soon after getting it, I double-crossed him instead by giving the Fingerslayer blade to Witch Ranni, and now he's dead. Okay, before I elaborate on my stats and sorceries, let me touch on a couple of other things. My Lutelle is already maxed out at plus 10. However, take note, she is not my final summon. I still have enough Ghost Glove Words to max out another legendary Spirit Ash for late game. And like Lutelle, it's gonna be another she. Now on Great Runes. I've now equipped Radahn's, which raises max HP, FP, and stamina by 15%. By the way, Godrick's Great Rune is also great, as it increases all attributes by 5 points. But that's better for early game, where your attributes are not yet hitting any soft or hard caps. If like me, your stats are near or beyond the caps already, percentage-based bonuses will provide more gains. Anyway, technically, Radahn's Great Rune is ideal for boss battles. Alright, on stats. To describe this better, let me show you the soft and hard caps of each attribute, along with their related stats, specifically stamina, E-load, attack power, sorcery, and incantation scaling. Don't be confused. Hard caps are technically at 99, but in this case, they are the last values on the right, and everything before that are soft caps. It's just that we call it hard cap because any point beyond that will do very little to improve the stats linked to that attribute, as if they add almost nothing at all. Already mentioned this earlier when I talked about my 90 int in regards to my Lusat's staff. For Vigor, the hard cap is 60, but depending on how my HP will fare in late game, I might decide on reaching that value. I'm just 10 levels away from it anyway. On Mind, I'm good. For Endurance, I'm already okay with the second stamina soft cap of 35. Cause as per the aspect of E-load, I did some research. And the armor set that I am planning to wear in late game is well within my light load threshold of 25.1. On Strength, this attribute also contributes to your physical defense, and that's the weakest part of my build. Can't really say for sure, but maybe I might hit the first soft cap of 18 in late game. For Dex, the sword that I'm eyeing to use in late game has the same requirement as Roger's Rapier, 17 Dex, so I'm already okay with the first soft cap of 18. On Int, I'm already way up there, so I might as well just pump it up to fucking 99, right? For Faith, 12 is the requirement to cast the Flame Cleanse Me incantation, and so far, I'm not planning to cast any other incantation, so 12 is okay. On Arc, it's useless for my build, so 10 is fine. Okay, finally on spells. Take note, since my Lusat staff is equipped, the displayed FP cost of all my sorceries are doubled. Now, first is for sniping, the sorcery with the farthest range, Loretta's Great Bow. And there's an even better version of this later in the game. Next is the Glintstone Ice Crag, which benefits from the 10% cold sorcery bonus of the Snow Witch hat. So besides applying Frostbite after 3 to 4 hits, it hits like a truck because of my build. Let me show you. Mind you, this is just a basic sorcery, and my damage is already insane. What more for my other powerful spells? Anyway, Ice Crag is just my daily spell, for exploration, dungeon crawling, etc. Cause among my lineup, its FP cost is the cheapest. The downside, it can't be charged, and the shorter range. When compared to the range of the basic Glintstone Pebble, it's shorter by about 20%, but still, it's OP, so why the hell not? And speaking of daily spells, let's not forget my daily skill, Hoarfrost Stomp on Magic Affinity. I did mention this earlier already, but let me show you its actual insane damage output. Next is Comet, and with its long range, well, of course not as far reaching as Loretta's, this is my boss killer sorcery. But take note, this is situational. If the boss is big and bulky, yes, Comet all the way. But if it is agile or an NPC invader, I swap this out for Magic Glintblade, cause the delay fucks up the dodging mechanism of the AI, so this spell connects most of the time. Anyway, this sorcery has the same FP cost as Ice Crag, and though it doesn't get boosted by the Snow Witch hat, it still does considerable damage. Plus, it has better range, and you can charge it, so it can also be your daily spell. On the other hand, if the boss is resistant to magic, I switch back to my good old trusty Rocksling, which I used for the majority of early game, cause it does physical damage. By the way, it also excels in staggering big enemies. Alright, next is my go-to sorcery for AoE damage, the Cannon of Haima. Basically, it's a magic grenade, and it's fun to use cause enemies get blown off in all directions. Next is the Terra Magica buff, which immensely boosts your magic damage by 35%. But you need to be inside the sigils area to gain its effect. If the enemy is not aggro, or there's an opportunity to do an ambush, or I just wanna show off, I combo this with the next sorcery on my list, Renala's Full Moon, which is currently the most powerful spell in my arsenal, and it takes up 2 memory slots. Anyway, there's a better version of this sorcery from her daughter, Ranni's Dark Moon, but you'll get that later in the game. It does slightly lesser damage, but it almost always applies Frostbite, and its FP cost is lesser. And lastly, my only incantation, Flame Cleanse Me, which I've mentioned time and again. It removes poison and scarlet rot, so it's a no-brainer. So that's my mid-game build. For early game, as I was relying mostly on the Meteorite Staff and Rocksling, let me say that I was a Gravity Mage. But now in mid-game, since cold sorceries are my bread and butter, I have now evolved into a Cryomancer. Anyway, my next destination will be the northern part of the Ainsel River, so stay tuned in. And that is all there is for now. Thanks for watching. Also check out other videos from Sabbathman Philippines, and don't forget to subscribe. See ya on my next vid. Peace out ya.